Welcome back to the Chow Time Pod. It's your host, Red. I got a video today from Lost Boy, actually. He suggests videos to me all the time, and this is like the second one I've done from his suggestion. He actually suggested this a while ago, but I haven't gotten to it, and then he linked it to my comments like yesterday or something. And this is about Nora Vinson, the woman that changed to be a man and tried to be a man and couldn't cut it, in a sense. You know, like, it was such a horrible experience for her. She actually ended up committing suicide afterwards and realized how horribly men get treated. I think a lot of women should be watching this and like realize the stark differences of how society and how other women around us treat men. So please like and subscribe down below. I'd really appreciate that. And let's get to the chow. It's chow time.
She's hardly a supermodel or movie star, but today Nora Vinson is getting the full-blown glamour treatment. Nora's a writer, and one of these shots will adorn the cover of her new book.
This wasn't just a stunt. This was about learning. This is a human project. It was about finding something out about the human creature, and I learned it the best possible way because I went through it.
What Nora went through, or more accurately, what she became in the last 2 years, was a man.
Yeah, a little bit shorter on the top. Okay.
No, Nora didn't get a sex change operation. She did it the old-fashioned way, with acting and a disguise. At 5'10", 155 pounds, and wearing men's size 11 shoes, Nora was a natural. Growing up in the Midwest with her actress mother, lawyer father, and 2 older brothers, Nora was a tomboy with a flair for the dramatic. She says she's still a tomboy and, in fact, is a lesbian, living in Midtown Manhattan with her partner, Lisa.
I think we can work with this.
Her transformation into the guy she calls Ned begins with a buzz cut, baggy men's clothes, and a too small sports bra to flatten her breasts. She even wore a little padding and a jock strap.
I also tried to think, well, what kind of guy is Ned? And
For the rest, she enlisted the help of makeup artist Ryan McWilliams.
She just came to me and said, Ryan, I need to turn into a man. The hair as small as we can make it, right?
And so they came up with a method of shredding braided wool into whisker-sized bits and gluing it onto her face.
Women have much stronger nasal resonance as a
And then there's the theatrical component.
So just easy Tarzan out on your chest a little. Good.
Damn, she put an effort and time into this. I actually did not watch this full documentary. I just watched like other people cover it, but I actually did not know she went through all these steps to really, portray herself as a man.
Juilliard voice teacher Kate Murray coached Nora for months on a program of movement, breathing, and speaking.
I want you to be the best man you can be.
All to incorporate some of the subtle and not so subtle characteristics of being a guy.
Notice what men do. If they need to suddenly grab a taxi,
like a pretty gorgeous man.
They just do that. Whereas women will ask for a taxi instead of demand one.
When all the pieces are together, hair, makeup, voice, posture, style, the transformation is complete.
Walk like a man, talk like a man, walk like a man.
And Nora Vincent becomes Ned Vincent.
Walk like a man, fast
looks pretty legit.
One of these shots will be the second photo on the book cover. The book, Self-Made Man, is out today and is about Nora's 18 months living as Ned.
I wanted to enter male spheres of interest and see how men are with each other. I wanted to make friends with men. I wanted to know how male friendships.
Women, we are ruthless to each other. Ruthless. You don't want us to treat you the way we treat the boys. You just don't.
Work from the inside out.
Ned's first act as a newly minted male was to join that quintessential bastion of camaraderie, a men's bowling team. The only problem was she's a terrible bowler.
I probably bowled before this 3 times in my life, and that was, in high school.
I love bowling. I go bowling like every week. I didn't realize it was a men's thing.
School, when you do it with both hands, So it was just insane for me to walk into this place without any.
And why didn't they just run you out of town when they saw how bad you were?
It's an amazing thing because I think, that shows you the generosity that they had.
It was the first of Nora's many surprises. She thought these guys from a working-class Pennsylvania neighborhood would mock Ned's bowling and reject him as a guy. But from their first meeting, they accepted Ned.
The handshake was unbelievable. It blew me away the first time I shook hands with a guy, a strange guy. And I was amazed because you think of women, you know, we're so nice, we're so easy, men are so mean. Complete opposite. Hey, baby. And I felt as comfortable as I could feel right away. They just took me in. No questions asked.
This is the first time the guys are coming face to face with the female version of Ned.
Would you have known me on the street?
No.
No. Good,
You look taller than I remember.
Yeah, I know. You're shorter. What happened?
Though they've known about Nora's true identity for months,
How are you?
this reunion is their first chance to talk about their friendship.
But you guys had said that wasn't there that game that, you know, the person who didn't make it to 100 had to wear women's panties at the end of the season. And I thought, you know, I'm going to give you guys the shock of your life, and I'm going to wear
The team had bowled together for 9 months, and gradually Nora gained entrance into the inner sanctum. She found that all the cussing and good-natured ribbing is just how men often show affection for
We
each
do
other.
cuss a lot.
Go, Ned.
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God, that's right. I forgot all about that.
And we fist bump
Did you
constantly.
know, based on watching her bowl? I mean, you know, the joke was she bowled like a girl. But
Well, we had our suspicions that
These guys did.
maybe Ned was gay
everybody
or
else,
something. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
everybody has their own style. You know what I
But
mean?
my style was, I
Her
mean,
style is this.
Yeah.
It's a little different style.
Near the end of the team's run, Nora decided to reveal herself as a woman. Nervous about how they'd react, she tested the waters with the one guy she was closest to. She took Jim out for a drink.
So she sits you down, she's very serious, and she says, I'm going to tell you something that's going to blow your mind. And what did you say?
So the only thing that will blow my mind is if you told me that you were a girl and that she was a guy. And she goes, well, you're half right.
The she Jim's talking about is Nora's partner Lisa, who the team had met several times. Jim assumed they were Ned and Lisa, a heterosexual couple.
But you didn't believe her at first.
At first, well, I was still in shock. I said, how can this possibly, you know, where would this come from? This is just a regular Monday night. I was out bowling, having a good time.
It's
a few
funny, I bowl
minutes
on
ago.
Monday nights,
Now
too.
I'm trapped in this bizarre conversation about your name isn't Ned anymore.
Which
you
is
know?
today.
Later, Jim told the rest of the team, who all took it well.
What do you think Nora expected to find in a bowling alley full of guys?
I think you expected to find like a bunch of guys just talking about women's private parts and a bunch of racists and, you know, I think kind of that's what she came into this thinking.
He is right. He is right. I think that's exactly what women think men constantly talk about. And they have no clue. We don't even talk about them at all most of the time.
they really showed me up as being the one who was really judgmental because they were the ones who took me in, not knowing anything about me. They were the ones who made me their friend and, you know, no judgments attached. That's not like you. What's wrong?
Nora and Jim became closer friends once he knew that he was a she. Now Jim was willing to speak more personally and openly, like about his wife's cancer. Nora came to see that between men, intimacy is sadly lacking.
There's a tremendous potential for tenderness between men, and I'm not sure that it's always realized, and it's terribly sad.
It is a tough thing. I try, like, it's not like we don't want to. It's really hard for men to do it. Like, I want to talk about my mom issues, like her passing and stuff with the boys, and I know they're perfectly fine with talking about it, and they're perfectly, like, supportive of me talking about it, but, like, me personally, it's hard to want to talk about this particular hard issue with the boys, you know? Like, again, they're 100% supportive of me. They know exactly where I'm at about it and stuff, and it's just, I want to talk more about it, but it's just something inside that says, just maybe hold it in.
Cracking the mystery of a boys' night out is one thing, but what about the explicit world of a man's sexuality?
I really ran smack up against the difference between male and female sexuality is that female sexuality is mental.
Yep.
It's up here. And male sexuality is a bodily function. It's a necessity. You just have to do it.
When we come back, Nora goes to strip clubs in the company of men as a man.
This is a really good
Over the 18
documentary.
months
2020. I rest in peace, Nora. I really commend her to the utmost respect that I have for a person to have gone through what she did. It is sad that it was so turmoil for her that she had to self-delete. Like, it makes you think, how do men out there survive? Right? It makes me think sometimes. Just makes me think.
of venturing out in the world as a man, Nora Vinson guesses she put on Ned's whiskers and clothes about 150 times. After the bowling league, she was ready for love and sex.
You went to a couple of sex clubs. What were you trying to get at?
Well, at first I thought
sex clubs.
This is sort of the quintessential guy thing to do, right? The bachelor party at the strip club. When I told
just
people
strip clubs.
initially that I
Okay.
was doing this, it'd say, "Oh, you got."
I thought it was a sex club.
She says the clubs were obviously sexual, but once again lacking in intimacy, which leaves men emotionally frustrated.
I saw the men there. I saw the looks on their faces. I saw them sitting alone, nursing their bourbon. And this is not about appreciation of women, of course. It's not about appreciation of their own sexuality. It's about an urge, and that's not always that pleasurable, really.
These guys who go to these high-priced clubs would say, this isn't about pain, it's about pleasure.
Men have had the tears and the emotional expression sort of pounded out of them from an early age, and so by the time they're men, they don't even have the vocabulary anymore or the emotional awareness to really say what they're feeling.
Nora says strip joints are about pure sex drive, completely empty of any meaningful interaction, even when a woman is gyrating on your lap.
Yeah.
But you're
The
attracted
fuck?
to women.
Do women think that we get other things other than just that?
And were you ever aroused during any of these?
I really ran smack up against the difference between male and female sexuality, is that female sexuality is mental. It's up here.
Whereas for men, Nora says, sexuality is, shall we say, below the waist.
At its core, it's a bodily function. It's a necessity. It is such a powerful drive. And
I love, oh man, there's just her speech and the way she said it. It is a core. It is a bodily function for men. This is how much men think of sex and how much sex like rules our lives, in a sense, for most men. You know, like when they say we think about it every 3 seconds or something. Yes, not all men think about it constantly, but there's so many men that think about it constantly that it averages out that way.
And I think because we don't have testosterone in our systems, we don't understand how hard it is.
So it never gets cold where you back in Australia?
Throughout the project, Ned dabbled in the art of picking up a woman.
Where'd your friend go?
We went with him to this bar wearing hidden cameras.
This is my friend JC, I'm Ned.
Nora was reminded that in this arena, it's women who have all the power.
Yep.
We sit there and we just with one word, no, will crush someone. And the thing is, we don't have to do the part where you cross the room and you go up to a stranger and say the first words. And those first words are so hard to say without sounding like a cheese ball or sounding like a jerk or whatever else.
And what do you guys do?
Nora says the brush-off Barbara Jones gave Ned was typical.
She was just sort of emblazoned with hostility. You know, just looked at you and you saw everything cross her face, which was, oh, God help me, not again. I'm trying to have a drink with a friend and I've got to deal with you.
Barbara was trying to dispose of Ned before her friend returned from the bathroom.
Anyway, we haven't seen each other in a while, so just let you know. I've got to head out to mom.
But Ned returned and told Barbara the truth about her gender.
Saying you gave us all the lines, like, trying to get rid of us. I see, and as a woman, I have such sympathy. I'm like, oh, I hate being this guy that you're trying to get rid of. You know?
Talking to a woman, Barbara seemed more open and friendly, and in the end actually apologized for how she had treated Ned.
So I'm
sorry for being bitchy.
Please.
Does that kind of living in the skin of a man
She would only apologize to because she found out she's a woman. If it wasn't really a man, it's a different story.
the bar scene and the dating scene give you a different kind of respect for men?
It gives me a certain definite sympathy. And I don't mean that there's any disrespect, but it just makes me understand what's going on.
Nora, as Ned, also went on about 30 dates with women, mostly arranging them on the internet.
Did you have any fun?
Rarely. Rarely.
It was just an
pretty
ordeal.
Unpleasant. Yeah.
She says the pressure of Ned having to prove himself was grueling. Nora was surprised that many women had no interest in a soft, vulnerable man.
Nope.
My prejudice was that the ideal man is a woman in a man's body. And I learned, no, that's really not. There are a lot of women out there who really want a manly man.
Ultimately, Ned told most of his dates that he was Nora. Many of the women reacted.
See, this is great. This is great info right here. She thought to be what women wanted, a soft, nice, friendly man. And she failed miserably. And she realized most women want a manly man. This is what we talk about, men. This is why you need to up your testosterone, work out, work on your purpose. Stop fapping so much, or just stop fapping in general, unless it's medically necessary. So
Angrily, but usually just for a little while. Some women wanted to continue the relationship.
They remained interested in pursuing something further, so whereas...
Sexually.
Yeah, and that was heterosexual women who, that's what I'm saying. It's all up here. Because they said, well, we connected, and, there's something, I really like you, and I don't care. How many guys would do that? That's the difference between female sexuality right there.
Nora says she found differences not only in sexuality and intimacy, but in every walk of life.
I'm in the market for a car, and
Take, for example, shopping for a new car. Going in as Nora, the sales pitch quickly becomes flirtatious.
Any guy that gets in is going to feel like, okay, this girl's...
I want to date this girl just for a car.
Well, all right, well, I didn't say it.
But going back to the same salesman as Ned, the tone was all business, and the talk was all about performance.
They have the 3-liter Duratec V6 engine.
And in the end, a personal touch for Nora the salesman would never have offered Ned.
All right?
Thank you.
You're
so
welcome.
Much.
In Nora's final months as Ned, she upped the ante, infiltrating all-male inner sanctum.
you know what? I can actually see women using that part right there, like, against us. Like, oh, well, see, men are sexualizing us when we talk to them, and they talk about business with other men, but she got better treatment. That's the difference. And men only, like, what men care about and what women care about is different. Men care about how does it work, what does it do, how does it do it. Where women are like, do I look nice in it? Is it like easy? Is it friendly for me to use? Those are just two different things that men and women look for.
But after 18 months of deception, she was unraveling, and the play acting at a men's wilderness encounter group would begin to scare her.
One guy had chopped up a log pretending it was his wife. So I thought, great, we're going to have axes and knives. So I was terrified.
Having survived strip clubs, dating, and a bowling league, Nora Vinson wanted Ned's last days to be among men only, in private and intimate surroundings. Nora, a lapsed Catholic, thought the cloistered inner world of a monastery would be ideal. Ned managed to live for 3 weeks as a trainee. The monks, she says, were pious, smart men, but they were still men.
What made it prototypically male? What do you mean by that?
The breakdown in communication, the need, the desperate need for male intimacy, and the lack of ability to give it, really painful.
Nora says the monks were hostile to her feminine side. She says she was ostracized because of the monks' assumptions about her sexual orientation.
Ned was really at the center of it because he was an effeminate man, and many of them thought I was gay. As one of them told me in confession, I said, I have something to confess to you. And he said, well, I think I know what it is. And I said, what? And he said, well, you're gay. And I said, well, yeah, but not in the way you think.
Loneliness can't hide.
Nora thought the perfect end to her 18-month saga was to join a men-only therapy group, a place where guys tried to bond and show.
Remember, she tried to do this for 2 years. That was her original plan. She only lasted 18 months.
Their emotions instead of hiding them.
They don't get to show the weakness. They don't get to show the affection, especially with each other. And so often all of their emotions are shown in rage.
And they kept talking about their rage, often their rage toward women and what they would do physically and violently towards women.
Right. A lot of this was blowing off steam. It's sort of talking about the things that need to be said that you know you would never do. I mean, you know, they would talk about fantasizing about chopping up their wives or something. It's not that they would ever do that, but it was a way to get out the blackest thoughts.
He doesn't like doing that work, but he can't quit.
Nora began to empathize with the fear and stress men feel for having to always be the strong provider. The therapy leader, psychologist John Gornishelli, saw Ned's shyness as typical of a newbie coming to brave the group.
A lot of the guys spoke to me after the retreat and said, talking to him, I felt like I was talking to somebody feminine.
Once again, some group members thought Ned was gay, but no one suspected he was a woman. After 8 sessions, the group went on a backcountry retreat, but Nora's 18 months of being an imposter was closing in on her.
The pressure of being someone that you're not and being the fear of discovery and the deceit that it involves piles up and piles up. So by the time I got around to doing this men's group, it was really reaching critical mass.
On the retreat, her fear became palpable.
And I was out in the woods with a bunch of guys who have rage issues about women, and I was in drag. And I thought, oh, God, you know, what am I doing?
Nora was unraveling. She felt guilty about lying, as though she should be punished. In the final ritual of the weekend, the men were to act out the problems unearthed at the retreat with a partner.
And you asked that he harm you?
Yeah, I did. At that point, I was starting to really kind of crack up. I was really...
You were coming unglued.
Yeah.
So you were asking this guy to cut you?
To cut me. So self-mutilation is very much a female thing, and I think it was my way of paying the penalty for what I felt I had done.
Nora was not harmed physically, but she continued her emotional descent, and a week later checked into a hospital with severe depression. Identity, she concluded, was not something to play around with.
When you mess around with that, you really mess around with something that you need that helps you to function. And I found out.
I agree. And this is why I think modern women have a big issue. They're lost their identity. They are in the opposite boat as her, or are in pretty much the same boat as her, that they are now masculine and now want to be breadwinners, want to do all of these masculine type things, but yet inside of them says something different. And I see a lot of people, like not just people, but women struggling out this. Men too. There's a lot of weak men, effeminate men that are confused at what's going on. They don't understand. It's like, why is the world working differently than what I've been told? And I feel like I should be a little bit more angry and masculine, but they're telling me not to be this way. And the same thing for women. I want to be a homemaker. I want to kind of raise kids, but everybody's telling me to go up for a career and just to have fun. You know, like it's a really pinnacle point in like the early 20s or like late teens for people to try to find their identity. And this is a sad part about higher education. It sends them the wrong way.
That gender lives in your brain, and it's something much more than costume. And I really learned that the hard way.
Nora says she's healed now and glad to be rid of Ned, but her views about men have changed forever.
Men are suffering. They have different problems than women have, but they don't have it better. They need our sympathy, they need our love, and they need each other more than anything else. They need to be together.
Do you think women understand what it's like to be a man?
Not at all. No clue. No idea.
John Gornishelli thinks Nora's conclusions that men are just as emotionally vulnerable as women are important and will be taken seriously because they came from a woman.
I said to her, this is going to be revolutionary because it's been looked at as though men were the perpetrators and women were the victims. This is not
and now, one last identity switch.
yourself.
Gornishelli has never come face to face with the real Nora.
Hi, John. I'm Nora.
Hi.
It's
Wow. Bruce teaches, so we can never come to the meetings. So.
And both John and Nora are happy she is a she. The irony is not lost on Nora that it.
And this is the part where I think being in our space, when some women come into our space, we're kind of excited about it because it's a voice that will touch people that us men can't touch, right? So sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing, just because, like, it is a men's space, right? We want men to be the leaders of our own space. So when a woman becomes like a big part of our space like that, it's kind of like, a lot of men have a little bit issues with it, which is understandable. I'm talking about Pearl, but yeah.
It took a trip into manhood to help her appreciate her own femininity.
I'm so much closer to myself than I ever was, that I really like me. I really like being me, and I really like being a woman.
Did you like being a woman before, Ned?
I did, but I like it more now, because I think it's more of a privilege.
That's perfect, right there. That's awesome.
How was that Chow? Like, she was a real one. Like, sad to see her had to end herself because of the ordeal she went through, but it's sad for men in general, I think, because a woman like her that actually put in the work to understand men is very rare, and especially that 18 months, the things that she did, women really don't understand men, and us men know we can never understand women. It's crazy that women think that they can change us or like make us do whatever or make us like do certain things, and it's so easy. No, we are quite different creatures in general, and we have different plights in life. So we work best together, and we've been doing it for centuries. It's only more recently when everybody's choosing to be alone and single. We got women that, you know, rather be alone and single, and then we got midtown men. Nothing wrong with the other two. I mean, people can have their choices, you know. I respect everybody's choices, but ultimately my choice, or, you know, I would hope everybody would want to be together and, you know, work towards togetherness. Or else, what's the point in the future for our kids and everybody else? To tell the truth. So please like and subscribe down below. I really appreciate it, and I'll catch you guys next time. It's chow time.